Welcome back to the Make Love to You podcast. I'm your host, Darnell Davis. And if you've been with us over the last couple episodes, you've seen something very personal unfold. I opened up about my wounds, about my fears, about the cycles that shaped me. Not to make this all about me, but to show you that healing is possible and that sometimes it happens in real time. I learned that growth doesn't always show up with applause. Sometimes it shows up in those quiet moments of awareness. Yesterday's version of me didn't see as clear, didn't set the necessary boundaries. He didn't know what I know now, and that's okay because that version served its purpose. But today, I'm stepping into a new phase, a new cycle, a new season. And if you ready to step into that season with me, if you ready to stand on business about this healing journey, let's step into this conversation together.
The mailman's here, got the vibe on cue. Talking about love like it's fresh and new. Self-care's the jam, yeah, that's the deal. Love yourself hard, let you.
Today's episode of the Make Love to You podcast is really special to me because we're talking about how to honor your past, unlock your potential, and step fully into the person that you're becoming. I'm talking about going from awareness to transformation, from racing thoughts to driven purpose. And to help me out with that, I'm sitting down with Charlotte Silver. Charlotte's a transformative coach whose work helps people move from insight to activation, from vision to reality. And trust me, Charlotte don't do fluff. Her work helps people step into their power and identify the patterns that's been holding them back. So, take a nice deep breath and let's step into this conversation with Charlotte Silver. Oh my goodness. So, how are you, Charlotte?
I am wonderful. I've had zero sleep because both of the twins decided to be up all night. But you
Oh,
know what?
wow.
I'm all good. I'm okay. I'm great. Thank you very, very much. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm wonderful. I'm slightly spectacular, on the verge of stupendous. And as I was just telling my audience and my listeners out there, I just personally came out of a season of awareness to transformation, where I had 4 episodes where I basically showed people what healing looks like in real time. I was stepping into a season where I felt like I was broken. And what I realized from the 4 amazing guests that I had a psychotherapist, I had an astrologer, I had spiritual guides, I had a priest, and they all helped me understand the season that I was in, the cycles that were happening in the universe, and ultimately my connection to the source of all. It really put me at ease and it helped me see that I was living in a moment of pressure as I was approaching my 50th birthday. I put all this pressure on myself. This is where I'm supposed to be at in life right now. And when I really truly aligned with my purpose, when I replaced that pressure with purpose, I realized that everything was happening in divine timing. So it's crazy that in less than 1 month, like I grew up, we used to always play with these characters. They were called Transformers, and in seconds they could just transform. Ching, 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 ching. And literally, as a human being, I feel like that's what I have just experienced, a full transformation. And you being the amazing transformation coach that you are, I wanted to have that conversation with you. I wanted to talk about what that's like to go from awareness to transformation.
Mm.
And what does that mean to you for that matter? How do you help people make that first step, I should say, from awareness to transformation? Let me just start with, what does transformation look like through your perspective, through your lens, through your eyes, through your experience?
Mm. Ah, what a question. And there's so much in that. Transformation is going from one place to another, right? But you can experience transformation literally in a second. Like I'll have a client in session with me, and I've experienced this myself in session two, is that, you know, it's that aha moment, that light bulb moment where you see through everything that you've been experiencing it, the way that you've been experiencing it through your lens of perception. Because we all experience our individual reality through the lens that we're looking down as an individual. So that transformation can occur when someone like myself lifts the lid on that, lifts the blind spot, and for whoever's experiencing that, it's like, oh whoa, this is what I've been doing, this is how I've been being. So that is a transformation in itself, because that really shines a light on, it doesn't make sense for me to show up like this anymore. And then when that light has been shone on, well, it doesn't make sense for me to show up like this anymore. Okay, well, then let's take action. What's the action that needs to be taken? Because you can't have transformation without action. It's like a lot of people will read self help books or listen to podcasts, and they're incredible. It's amazing. And the information that's shared, a lot of the time for a lot of the for a lot of people, it stays as information and it doesn't go into transformation, because the gap is take the action, listen to what you've heard, listen to what you're hearing, and use it. Try it on. Go in your own life and be it. Use it, and then the transformation occurs.
I totally get it. I totally get it. And what I personally experience in regards to what you're saying is going back and revisiting. Like I see who I was in that moment, that old version of me. I see the purpose that it had to serve. I see that I had to go through that development to actually become the person that I am today. So I guess my next question is, I remember one of our first conversations, one of our first sessions together, because this isn't our first conversation. We've explored this. You've helped me, come to this awareness that I'm at right now. And one of the first conversations was helping me go back to my childhood,
Mm,
to a lot of the things. Like I looked at myself as a major procrastinator.
mm,
I looked at myself as non-disciplined. And I remember when you helped me make the connection of who I was as a, how'd you say it? Who was the younger Nelly? The 10-year version Nelly. And what my life was at that point, and how that I had to honor who he was and the development that he went through. So I guess my question is, how do you help somebody honor who they were and still acknowledge and stay focused and stay driven and stay purposeful in who they are becoming?
I love that. Well, the thing is that we only ever do something in real time because it makes sense to us. We don't carry something out, we don't behave in a certain way, and at the same time, it doesn't make sense to us. It inherently really, really makes sense to us. And as a kid, our primary need as a kid is to feel safe. Because in a lot of ways, we're pretty helpless as kids. And so we look to our primary caregivers for that safety. And for so many people, that safety isn't met. And therefore, as children, we develop these adaptive coping mechanisms. It's amazing. It might be that if I get the best grades at school, then I'll be praised, then I'll feel safe and loved. If I just keep my head down and lay really, really low and not seen, then I'll escape being shouted at or confrontation. Or if I really caring for everybody else and not for myself, then I'll be seen in a certain light. And it's these belief systems that we form at such a young age, which they're really helpful. They carry us through. They're our saving grace of helping us keep safe. And they are really fantastic adaptive coping mechanisms until they're not. Until as an adult, you're like, ooh, I'm trying to get something done, but I am really procrastinating. Why? Well, and I remember we had a conversation about perfection, right?
Oh yeah.
And the need of wanting to get something perfect. And it's like in that quest of trying to get something perfect, what are we actually avoiding? And it can be a whole host of number of things, but the discomfort of feeling shame if it's not perfect. And if we're going to take that back to that 10-year-old little boy, well, it's like, well, he did anything and everything he could to either be accepted or to do the best he could, because that was the way that he just kept a low profile and got on in life. And it's like, okay, well, in adult life, if I get something perfect, then I get to escape feeling like I've done something wrong or like I'm not good enough or like, so it's really important going back and to your question of, being able to be with who we've been at certain stages in our lives. And with all the people that I see, I've never ever said to anyone, if you could take something back that you've experienced in your life and have not experienced that, no matter how horrific, no matter how traumatic that was, would you take it back? Like, would you take back things that you've experienced in your life?
Me personally, I wouldn't. As you just said too, as horrific, as scary, as all of those things that happen, because the one saying that always pops in my head is discomfort brings enlightenment. And that sounds really cool. But to actually sit in that moment of discomfort, like I was explaining before, like what I've experienced in this past year so far as the financial strain, it is so unfamiliar. It is so discomforting. And where I looked at it before as a wall, like I can't get past this moment, it was actually a
Yeah.
doorway for me to open up to new possibilities, new ways of doing things, because I was used to doing things. I was used to surviving this way. So when all of those resources, when all of those avenues, when all of those opportunities were closed off to me, I had to find another way. So to answer your question, like, no, I wouldn't trade any of those things because all of those discomforting moments actually became armor, became resources, became tools later on for me to use now. Like the things that I'm thinking now, the opportunities, the ways that I'm thinking now, I wasn't thinking a couple weeks ago.
Mm.
So I hope I answered your question there. And
Yeah.
and 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 to throw one right back at you if I can, like how do you help somebody understand to accept that discomfort that we're in right now and still feel driven to move forward? Is it finding purpose in the moments that they're in right now? Finding meaning in that discomfort? I don't know. You tell me.
Sometimes it's about surrendering to what is and being with total acceptance at what is without the pressure and because, hey, like, life is unfolding for us. And you said it at the beginning of the conversation, divine timing. Life is always unfolding perfectly for us.
Right.
When we're at resistance with that, when we're at resistance with what is, we tend to come from this lack mentality. For example, using myself with, at one time, a coach said to me, Charlotte, what is it that you'd want more of in your life right now? And I remember saying to that particular coach, I would love for my husband to show me more love, right? And he pointed me in the direction, well, if what you want is more love, then that shows me that where you're really at right now is in a lack of love. And when you're in a lack of
Wow.
love, yeah, it's like, and it's like the
If my mic wasn't in the stand right now, I would drop it because that was a mic drop moment. I'm sorry, please continue.
but it's the same for anything, right? Whether it's money. if you want more, and money is a bit of a different one, right? Because it's never about the money, it's what the money gives you, whether it's the confidence that you're after, whether it's the being able to show people and prove to people that I am good enough. It's never about the actual pennies, it's about what it can give you. But if I can come back to my story about love, if I was coming from a place of a lack of love, how was I showing up? Well, I can tell you that I wasn't coming from abundance. I was coming from a bit bitter, resentful, needy, probably trying to catch him out a bit. Is that gonna help me to get the result that I wanted, which was feeling more love from my husband? Absolutely not. It's gonna do the entire opposite. And so if I so in just being able to see that, well, what's going to give me more love? How can I show up now that's going to have me be in the best place that I can get that very thing that I want? It's like money. I have this saying that money is playful energy, and I have so much of that. So if I'm coming from a place, let's say one day of, oh God, money's tight and I've got to do this, and then there's all these pressures from my thinking. But if I come back to, well, money is playful energy, and I've got so much of that. How can we play? Where can I get playful with me? If I held a gun to your head, Nelly, and I said, okay, make me X amount in 2 days, get playful with it, I guarantee
Well,
it.
I mean, it ain't that playful when I got a gun to my head, but I'm with you.
But you would have no other option
Right.
than to get creative. You can do anything and everything, make that amount of money in 2 days with a gun to your head, you're doing it, right? Whereas a lot of the time our thinking holds us back, our thinking, oh, I'll do it tomorrow and maybe I'm not good enough and well, I'm never going to be able to make that much anyway, so what's the point in starting? Boom. We're in the same place 2 days later than we were 2 days earlier.
No, I totally. Well, first of all, that's a lot to unpack right there. It was all meaningful, but it was a lot to unpack. The first thing that you said was, that really, that mic drop moment was a lot of times when we're thinking that we need more, it's coming from a place of lack.
Mm.
And I've been living in this space of letting go of a lot of things that don't serve me. And a lot of times when we think about letting something go, we think about, oh no, I'm done with this, I'm done with that. And it's coming from a place of bitterness, instead of a place of clarity. I just said this to somebody the other day. I was like, when you got to let something go, and if you still feel that, oh, I'm done with them, and you're not. You're not, because you're going to regret that bitterness. And when you're coming from this place of clarity, it's full acceptance. Like you just said, it's full acceptance. So what I'm curious is, how do you coach somebody? No, just be in that place of letting things go without bitterness and still moving forward with clarity.
Mm,
Did that make sense?
absolutely.
Okay.
So when we're born whole and complete.
Yes.
There's no difference between you and I. We're babies. We have everything that we could possibly need with the food and water and love to survive. And as we grow, we inherently, through conditioning, through everything that we see, hear and experience, thinking gets in our way. We develop ideas about ourselves, beliefs about ourselves, and we cling on to those beliefs so tightly, and we develop what's called an ego. And we are a lot of the time in reaction to it, the circumstance around us. We're reacting to it coming from our ego. Now you ask me, well, how do I coach people to let go and just have that sense of clarity? And with with my clients, it's getting to a point where they've remembered how whole, complete, and abundant they are. The need for anything, the fight for something, the fight disappears because they're just so okay with being okay. They're not on a low looking to get to a high. They're not on a high about to come crashing down. They're just so okay. And I say, okay doesn't sound very sexy, but it's the sexiest place to be at because you're just not in search for anything. And, true peace, true happiness, is when we're just not in search of anything, when we're not coming from lack. And it's coaching people to remove this conditioning, remove these blind spots, remove the lack of consciousness that they have in their everyday lives, where they're just every day reacting, 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 instead of choosing a response to a circumstance, choosing coming from the place of being that I'm okay, and I get to choose my response. It's a place of being conscious, being awake and aware of how you're living every day.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I found myself for so long reacting instead of responding. And I love when you said when we're born whole. We have everything we need. And it reminded me of what my grandmom used to always say. She always said, God ain't gonna let you miss what you're supposed to have. And she said this so much. My grandmom growing up, she dropped so many jewels. She didn't graduate high school. But the woman to this day, and I've met people all around the world, is the wisest woman I know. And I'm not saying that just to get brownie points and to be the best grandson because I'm already him. No, I'm joking. But she always said, God ain't gonna let you miss what you're supposed to have. And it's so long I spent so much time chasing things that I thought I needed. And now I'm in a place of, for lack of better terms, magnetizing it. I feel like
Mm,
the things that are meant for me are just coming.
mm,
And that is what my last cycle of awareness brought me. Because when I truly became aware of where I am right now and that everything is happening in divine timing and divine purpose, next thing you know, opportunities started to come to me. And I shared this latest opportunity that I'm just mind blown over that just came to me. But I feel like I didn't search for it. It
mm,
was just like magnetized towards me. So like a lot of times, that doubt still creeps in. So how do you coach somebody or how do you help somebody to stay in alignment
mm.
with what's happening, in their lives and
Yeah,
that connection?
totally. So one of my clients, she's the founder of an incredible startup business in the UK. And she was going into a round of fundraising, and she came to a session and she shared with me that she was feeling really nervous. She just felt very doubtful and shaky and stressed. And when we digged into this together, what we came to understand is that she was coming from a place of I don't deserve an investor's belief in me. I don't deserve the money I'm looking for. Coming from a place
But
of
she wasn't actually saying this. Okay.
yeah, exactly. She wasn't saying it. Where she'd come from in her life, she had belief systems about herself and ideas about herself because she'd already had two failed businesses. The way that she was conditioned
Mm.
growing up, she was scared that she was going to have another failed business on her hand, that she wasn't capable of being able to grow a business and take these investors' money and do with it in the way that in the way that she was trying to sell herself. She envisaged herself as a fake going into these investor rounds, and she felt that she was being fake. Now she didn't know it at the time.
Right.
She just felt anxious, stressed, nervous. But in digging into the layers, what we came to understand together is that she was coming from the place of being of, I'm actually not worthy of your money. Now, in really delving into that, looking at the truth of those belief systems that she had, which are absolutely not true, in really transforming those beliefs that she had about herself to she forgave herself for the judgment that she had on herself. She looked at then what she wanted to create in her business and the place that actually the only place to come from, which was self-belief, is then now going into the investor rounds. She has this, it's just in her person, who she's being, in her body language. There's a different energy, there's a different frequency, right?
It's, mhm. No, I'm just sorry to cut you. It just sounds like from everything you're describing that she was identifying herself of the failure, oh, not so much as the failure, I hate to use that word, but the delay that she experienced before, the rejections that she experienced before. So that's when she's going in it, she's thinking about the rejections that she has, and she's thinking about the rejections she might get in the future, as opposed to living in this moment that she's in right now. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, but sometimes it's not that cut and dry. Sometimes it's not as black and white and clear as, oh, I'm thinking about the rejections that I've been having. Because a lot of the time, trauma, or with a capital T or a little t, it's in the body. And we can transform it in the mind, but body takes longer to catch up.
Wow.
So
Unpack that, please.
So she had no idea that she was going into these investor meetings with any shred of, I'm not worthy of your money and you shouldn't really invest in this business because I'm not capable of following it through. She had no idea. She just felt stressed and anxious because it's not very often that we sit down and we really talk to ourselves and we really unpack things with ourselves. And you may journal, but it may only go so far. You may meditate, but it only goes so far. And really, with a coach, I'm holding a mirror to my client that is so strong and bold, and there's no escaping it. And in it, what we lift out of somebody and transform that into something else. It's like she had then the freedom to go in after unpacking all of this and just it be you, go rock it without the extra layers of anything that's in the body or in the mind, bringing that stuff down and bringing you back to lack. It's let's go from the present moment, let's be in the present, and it's from that that you can create. And her experience of going into these investor rounds entirely different. She raised the money that she wanted to raise, and exactly like you said before, you know, these things have started to happen. These opportunities, I'm seeing them and I'm taking them. Opportunities, she's starting to see they're coming to her. Opportunities she might not have seen.
Magnetizing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You keep going. No, she didn't see it before.
No,
Yeah.
I'm loving this. I am I getting carried away?
No, 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 no. Like I said, when I say something, it's just because I'm feeling what you're saying so much, and I'm hesitant to say something because I don't want to stop your train of thought, and I don't want to stop the jewels that you're dropping right now. But I totally see it. Exactly everything that you're saying. I've just experienced it. I've just lived it, and of course, you've been a huge help to me in that as well. What I think you mentioned something earlier, and not to, harp on it too much, but you was like, it's not that black and white.
Mm.
And I think a lot of times we make themes sound, this transformation sounds so simple. But I know there are practical steps, there are perspectives, there are different tools that you use. Can you just speak about just one particular tool or one particular perspective shift that you might use in these type of situations?
So I hear you, and tools can be really important. So, for example, right, if you're in a situation where you are conscious enough, what I mean by that is you are aware of how you're showing up in a situation. So let's just say you're having a confrontation with someone and you can feel your blood starting to boil, the energy is rising, you're about to blow, and you're conscious of this, and you're like, okay, breathe. Or it might be that you pinch your side, or it might be that you just walk away so that you can actively, instead of just having an automatic response, when you're a kid and you go to the doctor and the doctor just checks your joints and the doctor sort of like does that on your knee and judo chops your knee and your
Yeah,
neck
yeah.
comes out. It's called a
I
knee
always thought that
jerk.
was a magic trick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's called a knee-jerk reaction, and that happens for us in our reactions verbally as well. Body takes over, and we have no control over over what we're doing. We're in fight, flight, or freeze. We're in survival mode, and it's when you feel that you are about to get there, there are tools that you can use. Really simple, effective tools to just bring yourself back to neutral so that you can then make your response rather than just have body take over and be out of control and in survival. But the place that I really come from as a transformational coach is that I want people to transform for and use that for the rest of their lives. I don't want it to be a performative, oh yeah, and now I've gone and, to go back to my client before, raised this much, and she's and then I don't want her to have the same thing happen again the next time she wants to raise. I want it to be lasting transformation. And for me, in my perspective, the only way for lasting transformation is it's not a how to, it's not a tactic or a tool, it's a shift in who you are actually being. Like there are a lot of affirmation sites out there. You can just go on into Instagram and type in affirmations, and you might see, go on, put your big boy pants on and go and rock the, well, that wouldn't really be a great affirmation, would it? But go on, girl, put your cape on and fly today. And it might help for 5 minutes, but there might be a day that I wake up and I just really don't feel like putting a cape on and flying today. So it's about finding out what's really true for you. And that's a very personal journey.
Personally, affirmations do help me because they're the first words that I speak to myself. And I look at my world as a blank canvas every morning. So when I wake up and the first thing that I say to myself or the first thing that I hear, whether that's just some relaxing music or simply my breath. And I agree with you 1,000% with everything you say. It's about who you are becoming, and there's no quick fix to who you are becoming. It's a development. It took you all of this long to be who you are now. So it could possibly take the same amount of time to who you're becoming, and to have an amazing coach like you is the guide that you need. And at the same time, for me, it's also about returning to who I am right now. And I can return there sometimes with just a simple deep breath. And that's sometimes all I need to go from pressure to clarity.
Absolutely. The breath is so, so important. And I can look at someone and I can look at how they're breathing, and it'll tell me a lot about how they're living. And I think I hear you when you say I can wake up in the morning and every day is a blank canvas. Um, and you also say that it can take a long time to transform and to shift who we're being. And I also want to share that it can also be instant. Like, for example, I could be having, this is going to sound a bit basic, but go with me. I could be
Mhm.
having a blazing row with my husband inside my house. And then the doorbell goes, and I could drop that argument in a second. Doorbell goes, Julie, hi. Oh, come in. How are you? And I've gone from being to hi.
But
I,
isn't that performative?
yes, because I may still have elements of the underneath.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is I've shifted my being in a second from to And if I spend 5 more minutes with Julie, I might have forgotten about the argument with my husband. I might come back to it later, but I can shift my being in a moment, and that is coming from thinking. So let's just say, oh, there's that old story, isn't there, about, don't quote me on this, somebody's walking in a desert and they see this thing on the floor and they're convinced it's moving. They think it's a snake. They go and the fear and there's a snake. And then they get closer and closer and it's a stick. And just like that, from thinking it's a snake to it's a stick, cool, fine. They've changed their being in a moment just from thought. The initial thought was it was a snake. That's really scary. Well, for most people, especially me, hate snakes. And then it goes to stick. A stick can't hurt me. So it can be very, very quick. And in a morning, sometimes we can wake up and our being can be in a certain way. We might, coming from our thinking of dreading the day, for example, which has us put a certain feeling in us. So it's potentially spending a little bit of time with yourself in the morning to unpack what's actually going on up here so we can shift our being and our feeling and the way that we're carrying on ourselves in the day coming from body. We're psychosomatic beings, psycho being the mind, somatic being the body. That's so intrinsically interlinked.
Nah, I feel you. I feel you 1,000%. And I am just so grateful to have you here, for you to share all your wisdom, all your insight, for helping people to really stay, oh, I should say present, helping people to stay present in this journey of transformation, in this journey of healing. Is there anything else that you want to share with everybody before we let you go today? Because I know we got to pick those kitties up.
Yeah. With being present, if we're being present, we're not worried about the future and we're not upset or sticking in a sort of lack mentality coming from the past. We're just with what is. And we can always come back to present moment. And being in present moment, you know, if somebody says something that doesn't sit right with me, that's the majority of the time I'm coming from past experience. Because if I had no memory of the past, how would I know that it doesn't sit right with me? Well,
Mm,
of course we've got to have boundaries, and you know, we all have personalities coming from our thinking that create our personal realities. Of course we do. If we can try to just maintain a being in present moment as much as possible, which limit our reactiveness, which, you know, if we have no memory of the past, all we have is sensations within our body. If we, you know, we don't know our name, we don't know who our family is, we don't know what's in our bank account, we're just being in the present moment. And it's a really beautiful space to come from. And it's from that space that we can create anything. It's from that space that there's a blank canvas. So yeah, I think that's
staying
important.
present right here where we are.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And in present right here where we are, like again, like I said again, I want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your heart with us today. We're going to make sure to share all your information on our show notes so our listeners and viewers can get in contact with you and you can help them on their journey as well. But before I let you go, I want to share with you and with all our listeners and our viewers out there our new Make Love to You embrace, how we're going to end off every show. And it's simply, actually, first of all, I'm going to have my editors right now put me the Make Love to You logo right here. I'm hoping that works out perfectly. The Make Love to You logo is basically a heart and it represents you hugging yourself. And you can see the hands over it. So, Charlotte, and everybody that's looking and everybody that's listening, I want you to place your opposite hand, your hands on the opposite shoulder. Just let it grab the top of your shoulder. I want you to take a nice deep breath in. I want you to inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for two, and release for six. So we're going to take a deep inhale. We're going to hold it for two, and then we're going to blow out for six. And we're going to say, I love me. So we're going to do that one more time. Inhale for four, hold it for two, exhale for six, and then we'll say, I love me.
I
I love
love
me.
me.
I want you to say this when people walk away. I want you to say this when doors are closed. I want you to say this when you feel the pressure creeping in. Remind yourself, I love me. And that is from us here at Make Love to You, to everybody out there listening. Take a moment to reflect on everything that we learned today. That staying present is the most powerful tool that you can ever have. That responding as opposed to reacting, giving yourself a moment to just take a deep breath and respond as opposed to reacting. And remember that a lot of times, as Charlotte said, when we're coming from a place of need and want, it means that we're coming from a place of lack. Acknowledge that you were born with everything that you needed in life, and you always will. Your soul will reveal all the secrets that you are waiting to seek. I am the Nell Man, Darnell Davis, from my heart to yours. Charlotte Silver, you can say
Thank
something.
you so much. Love speaking to you always. That was
And
amazing.
we love speaking to you too. Talk soon. Everybody out there, mwah! I love you. I love me.
The mailman's here, got the vibe on cue. Talking about love like it's fresh and new. Self-care's the jam, yeah, that's the deal. Love yourself hard, let your heart heal. Make love to you, it's the name of the game. Life's too short to live in shame. Love yourself.